Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm actually going to make a video showing you the Amazon 4-pack for the Clone Troopers for the Bad Batch. And I'm also going to be unboxing it. I'm going to actually be showing you the box itself, the 4-pack box, and then I'll show you each of the cards, and then I'll actually rip them out of the package. I originally actually got this about 2 weeks ago. I've seen in other channels before. I could understand most TVC collectors do not like to completely rip it out of the box. But in my case, I'm actually out of the box collector. I love the card back, but I think that it's actually worth just taking it out of the box. So I decided to just take it out for you guys, and then I'll show it to you. And of course, I covered this set about several months ago when it was first announced. So I think it's only proper for me to show it to you guys. So yeah, just why don't you just stay tuned, and I'll go through each of those. Hopefully get to cover a lot of the questions you might have about this figure set. I'm sure the people who wanted the set are going to get it anyways. I'm not here to sell the thing, but yeah, this thing, it's just as glorious as I think it is. I'm not a big TVC collector, but I'm actually very excited about this. And I have the previous 3-pack with the Clone ARC Troopers, and it was so nice that I decided that I definitely have to get my hands on this. Anyway, so on with the packaging. Of course, if you guys get the previous convention exclusives, this is nothing different. I love the way it's packaged though. I love the way they're kind of staggered over here. This way, big window box showing you what figures you get, right? And of course you get this the different languages, the 4 languages. This is in English, French, German, and Spanish. All right, Star Wars Bad Batch. So this is Clone Captain Rex, Clone Captain Ballast, which is actually Howzer later on in the show, Clone Captain Gray, and Elite Squad Trooper. All right, the other sides are actually nothing so hard for me to show you. I can't even fit it into the camera, but here on the side it's like this. On the other side, it's in Spanish. I can't even I'm gonna knock over the set if I were to show it to you that way. Okay, this on the bottom, there's a bunch of just pretty plain. What's actually interesting is the top and the back of the box. So the top of the box actually has it like this. It shows you IG-11, the Emperor, Death Star, and then Tebow, Lando Calrissian, Elite Squad Trooper, Clone Captain Rex, Clone Captain Gray, and of course Clone Captain Ballast / Howzer. And then of course, you know, it says over here action figures from Star Wars movie saga, and it says it in different languages. I'm not gonna even try it because I took Spanish, 6 years of Spanish in high school, and nothing really came out of it. I completely forgot it. But anyways, so this is the back. It's pretty cool. It's actually, it's really cool. It's not as cool as the 3-pack ARC Trooper one. Actually, that one's in full gold. It was just absolutely gorgeous. But this one's sufficient. I still like it very much. And so this again is one sentence in 5 different languages time. And the one in English says, at the time of their introduction, clone troopers represent the future of galactic warfare. Ultimately, they prove to be the secret weapon in assuming control of the galaxy. All right, so I'm going to move on next, and I'm going to show you what the card backs are like. Okay, I am actually going to show you what's behind the curtain, because it's actually quite impossible of me to show everything. So you get to see the back over here, my little setup, my floss, and this is just random stuff around my house. But right off the bat, you see what they have. So each of these, this is the card back for the Elite Squad Trooper. They're actually unpunched. The holes are actually unpunched. So for those of you who loves this type of stuff, congratulations. Again, in the back, it shows the same figures that that is actually on top of the box over there. So this is the Elite Squad Trooper. This is Clone Captain Ballast, or Howzer, the nice guy. This is Clone Captain Gray. He was never unmasked in the show. Rex has appeared in Bad Batch. I have the Black Series version of this figure, but I did not review it. But here he goes. This is Rex. Okay, now that we have the figures free from the blisters, let's look at the loose figures individually. First off, let's make a note about the body. All of these figures have the same body as the TVC 41st Elite Core Trooper from a previous release. So much so that even the helmet is the exact same sculpt. Of course, except for Captain Rex. Now, I'm personally not a big fan of this body because it's more leaning towards the animated series proportion instead of the Revenge of the Sith live action proportions. But that's due to personal preference. I know that there are many viewers who grew up with the animated series and prefer that proportion instead, so it's totally cool. I could totally see how Hasbro has come to this design decision, as new tooling comes with a heavy price, especially in a series like this where there are 4 figures. There has to be some uniformity, and there are many new features that are featured on each of these characters. So with that, I'm totally okay with them having a save cost elsewhere. However, I do appreciate the fact that Hasbro knows where to spend the money, and that is the gorgeous new head sculpt. Previously, the head sculpt that they have was completely inaccurate to the human proportion. It just looks squished and is shrunk in such a way that probably is there to make sure the helmet can still fit on it and not look completely out of proportion. But then in the end, it's still too big for the body. The new portrait is conceptually similar to the TVC ARC Trooper release. They are approaching the live action actor's likeness, although it is a new head sculpt that is completely different. But they're both fair representations of Temuera Morrison, so credit is given where credit is due. So that's pretty much a blanket statement about the entire wave design. Now, each of this figure has something different to offer, so let's move on and take a look. Since we left off with the facial sculpts before, let's start with Captain Howzer, because he has the most accurate representation to the show, as opposed to the other figures here. As mentioned before, his face sculpt has a pretty decent representation of Temuera Morrison. But of course, the most noteworthy feature on Howzer is he has the best haircut in the galaxy. Legend has it that after he was captured on the show, he went to prison and served as the prison's official barber. Accessories wise, it comes with a removable helmet and a DC-15A blaster. The armor has a slight weathering going on, although it's done in such a way that it didn't go for the entire treatment with grease and chips, but instead go with something that's more conceptually suggesting weathering with the paint chips. I'm fine with this, and it's done actually even better than most Black Series figures. One gripe I have is that the pauldron, it's a bit loosey-goosey. It's flopping around and stuff, but of course, I'll probably ended up gluing this in place anyways. Next up, we have Captain Gray. He also comes with a DC-15A blaster and a removable helmet, which is actually quite cool because in the show, Gray never took off his helmet, but then Hasbro opted to give him a removable helmet, and his mug is similar to Captain Howzer's mug, although actually with a different haircut because of course nobody's hair could be as awesome as Howzer's hair. And here you can actually tell that Hasbro actually went ahead and give him the boxy pauldron that he's known for. Strangely, there's no weathering on this figure, and the shade of green is not as lime green as it appears on the show. Okay, moving on, we have Captain Rex. This is a strange one for many reasons. It comes with two DC-17 pistols, which is pretty much expected of Captain Rex. However, the holster to store them is completely out of scale, and as a result, when you put in the pistol, it just kind of wants to fall out. And unlike the ARC Troopers, it went back to cloth comma, which is okay since it's going to be pretty much hidden behind the poncho. But strangely, the belt is not the same as, it's more of an animated look belt, and I can't really pinpoint where it came from. Somebody at Hasbro has decided to give Rex a different haircut. Now, what they've essentially did was to give Rex Captain Gray's head. However, given that Captain Gray has never removed his helmet, and no one has more screen time with his helmet off than Rex, why don't they just make Rex more accurate and then somehow modify the hair color for Captain Gray? So this decision, I think, is a bit baffling. As for the paint scheme, the body armor, like Gray, doesn't have much weathering involved. Instead, they use the color to highlight the kill count markers that they have. And the kill count seems to be a little bit out of scale. It's a bit too big. However, given the fact that we're working with a smaller size over here, I could totally understand. As for other features, Rex comes with a poncho. While I don't like the poncho in the Black Series figure, and think it could have done a better job in terms of detail, here I understand this poncho works well with the scale. Although the hood a look underneath the pauldron, you could tell that we have the same truncated pauldron that the Black Series has. Of course, I totally understand that we can't fit a whole entire pauldron shoulder piece on here given the poncho, so I am totally cool with that. And one thing to note is that in this case, they decided to not even give Rex his characteristic welding on his torso. And last but not least, let's look at the helmet. As most of you know, Captain Rex sports a monocular on his helmet, which doesn't appear on the show because Hasbro was probably basing the figure design off of an earlier character design for the show. The way they handle the mechanics between the visor and the rangefinder is different from the Black Series. In the Black Series case, the monocular and the rangefinder actually comes in two separate pieces, so you could actually articulate it separately as it opens, close, like so. In the case of the TVC, because of the scale they're working with also, they actually have it such that they're actually one unit and they move together. And finally, we have the Elite Squad Trooper. It comes with a DC-17 blaster rifle and, strangely, a DC-17 blaster pistol. And the reason why I think that it's kind of strange to have the DC-17 pistol is because in the show, I don't recall the Elite Squad Trooper was ever packing this pistol. And on top of that, the figure does not have anywhere, there's no holster to store it. So I guess it's just kind of, he just has to hold it. The figure is molded in the matte charcoal plastic. And the visor is, of course, green. But in this case, it goes for a different green than the Black Series one. But just as with the Black Series, it decided to forego and ignore the stripe, the black stripe that comes down the helmet, the shoulder, and also the arms. So it is not completely screen accurate, let's just say. Now, when you remove the helmet, right, it has a beautiful head sculpt of around Tamira Morrison likeness to it. No, I'm just kidding. The helmet doesn't, there isn't a removable helmet in this case. The helmet stays on. However, if you look inside, there's actually a human head sculpt inside, and it is molded in the same color plastic as the rest of the figure. Regarding articulation, the head moves up and down like this, spins around like the Exorcist, shoulders goes up to about here, can swing all the way around like so. 90 degrees elbow. The elbow also accommodates a swivel like this, and the wrist rotates like so. The torso has a ball joint. Now, the upper leg has the same problem as many figures. It doesn't directly want to move forward like this, right? However, it can go sideways like that, pull up like this, and if you want to have that pose, then you actually rotate the knees this way, and then you could then have them in a sitting position like so. The knees have a 90 degrees bend, and then the ankles can go spin all the way around, and of course you could do this and this. So what is my conclusion? Let's put it this way. They are nothing in comparison to the ARC Trooper release previously, but that's pretty much because they had the ability to retool everything over here. Just the proportion, it's slightly shorter than these old bodies, but I could totally understand why Hasbro might want to reuse some of the previous molds. So it makes economic sense. I'm not a big fan of the TVC clone mold because of how skinny it looks. It just doesn't, I guess it's more the animation style, right? Especially the stick figure-like body in comparison to the huge helmet. It just doesn't lend well in the scale, I believe. However, I do believe, I do appreciate that in the places where they're able to make innovations such as the head sculpt underneath the helmet, I highly appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that Captain Gray has his own, has his new pauldron. I'm actually not sure about Captain Howzer over here, whether or not his pauldron is new or not. You know, of course, they went all out redoing Rex's poncho and his helmet, so hats off to him. They could have used a better holster, but that's fine. And I prefer for Rex, you know, the comma is actually not like the ARC Trooper where it's made out of these soft plastic. The comma in here is actually still the cloth. Better for articulation and posing, I'm sure, but it's actually not as refined, in my opinion. But different strokes for different folks, so I'm totally cool with it. But overall, I am still going to be collecting Black Series. I think that for Clone Troopers, they actually lend better to that scale. These are actually, I still appreciate the fact that these came here, and hats off to Amazon and Hasbro for pumping these out. And I really look forward to Howzer and also Gray to come out in the Black Series. So anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope this review is very informative, and I'll talk to you later.